Chivas USA's wheeling and dealing. The disciplinary committee strikes again, and Kansas City looks to break their losing streak. Next on The Daily. Welcome to The Daily. It is Friday, May 18th. I'm Andrew Wiebe. Next to me, Jason Seguini. And Jason, the news from yesterday, the thing that everyone was talking about, two big trades in MLS, perhaps the biggest though, the one with the biggest names at least. Juan Agudelo going to Chivas USA. New York Red Bulls getting Heath Pierce going the other way. Some financial considerations as well for New York. What do you think? Who made out better in this one?
This is one of those trades where I think both teams actually get what they need. Heath Pierce is a versatile defender, can play anywhere on the back line, as well as the New York defenders have played recently. You know that they need to get some reinforcements for the season, for the long haul. You can't rely on a guy like Tyler Ruthven. A good player, he's done well, but he's not an experienced guy. He's not going to take you there all season. I actually like Heath Pierce to come into New York. There's some debate, though, over whether he's going to play center back or left back for them. And then, of course, Juan Agudelo, he needs more playing time. Chivas is offering that up to him. It's a great opportunity for him, reunited with Juan Pablo Angel, who he played with a little bit with New York. And the other thing about this trade is Angel and Alejandro Moreno, they're getting up there in age. Agudelo, a little youth to inject into that team.
Of course, Jose Correa also scored his first goal for Chivas USA, another youthful attacker for them. But Chivas were not done on the day. The trade we've been hearing about in the works for practically a week now. Danny Califf moving to California, moving back to California. Michael Lahoud and allocation money going the other way. But Jason, Califf wasn't all that happy.
Yeah, Califf not really thrilled about leaving Philadelphia. He really took to the Union fans. It seems that this kind of stemmed from a disagreement with Peter Novak, and coming out today, you found out that the options for Califf were going to Chivas in California or going to Toronto. He seems a little happier going back to California. Remember, he's a California guy. And this really, ties into the other trade. Chivas USA losing Heath Pierce in the back. They bring in Califf to fill that spot. So really, Robin Fraser's team here making out on the day. I think it's a good haul for them. You look at Danny Califf. You know, he's a little older than Heath Pierce. He's struggled with injuries a little, but if he gets back on the field, a rejuvenated Califf really helps this team.
And of course, we talked about this on Extra Time Radio yesterday. Jason, you, I, Nick, and Jimmy Conrad sat in, had a few interesting things to say, some interesting tidbits based on his time in Chivas and his time in MLS. You can catch that on iTunes, Buzzsprout, and Stitcher. As big as the SuperClasico is going to be with all these changes, it's probably not the biggest game of the weekend, Jason. That one also comes in the Western Conference. Vancouver going to host Seattle. A little Cascadia rivalry action there for all the people. First game of the weekend, 5 p.m., nationally televised in Canada and also on MLS Live. What do you make of this one? Is this one a chance for Vancouver to kind of make their shout to the top there?
Yeah, throw the Cascadia rivalry out here. These teams are competing for the Western Conference crown here. When you look at Seattle Sounders, they've had a great start to the season. They've been playing well. Freddie Montero now picking things up. But Vancouver they've held their own at the beginning of the season. Eric Hasley, remember, was struggling. Yep. Now Hasley's broken out of that. If he gets going, Vancouver is going to be a contender in the Western Conference. This is another chance for a team to make a statement. They have a home game against Seattle. If they can knock them off, boost Vancouver up the Western Conference.
Yeah, and remember, they'll also have to balance that Amway Canadian Championship final. That final game going to be in Toronto on Wednesday, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of lineup selection happens in this one. Another big game of the week in Kansas City, the darlings of MLS through 7 weeks, undefeated, 7 wins, yada, yada, yada. 3 straight losses now, and they'll face Colorado on Saturday night, 9 p.m. MLS Live. Did they break it?
Yeah, quickly coming back down to earth for Sporting Kansas City. The thing is, they still have a solid team. The way that they play, though, that high energy, high pressure style that they like to play, does that work in Colorado in altitude? I think that's the big question. If they have to adjust tactics, can they still play a similar game and get a result in Colorado? Colorado's another team that needs to get results. They're getting a lot of players back on the field, some new players, and that's sometimes good, brings some new energy, sometimes bad because there's not cohesiveness. Yeah. So we'll see what they can do out there at Dick's Sporting Goods Park.
Connor Casey expected to play for the Rapids. These two teams 1-1 draws, both of them in the regular season last year. Well, on a normal Friday, MLS disciplinary committee actions would not fall to the end of the daily, but what can I say? It was a busy Thursday still. 2 players received suspensions on Thursday afternoon. Breck Shea, the more stringent of the 2, 3 games he will miss for kicking a ball at an assistant referee. Also in the Western Conference, in Portland, Footy Danzo gets a game for a karate chop and rough tackle on Kalen Carr in that Houston matchup. What do you make of these, Jason? Fair?
When you look at the Breck Shea one, for me, I think it's fair. I think he's really skating on thin ice when you're kicking a ball at an official, whether it's an AR or a center ref. This is going to hurt FC Dallas. Obviously, he was going to probably leave for U.S. national team duty. Now he's going to miss a long stretch of games for them. You look at the Rafa Marquez suspension last year for throwing the ball at Landon Donovan. That was 3 games also. So there's some consistency there. And then as far as the Footy Danzo, I watched that game. I watched that play. Did not see it at all, but when you check out the replay, there is a big karate chop to Kalen Carr's head. I think Danzo might be lucky to only get 1 game there.
Yeah, one thing to remember with the Breck Shea suspension, if he is gone for U.S. national team duty and not available for FC Dallas, those games will not count as serving suspension, so he could be out until the middle of the summer. Also on the site, check out all the news from all the different games this weekend. Plenty to look at there, as well as Supporters Week content that we've had all week long. Lots of videos, lots of written content from the writers all around the league. Today, this morning, your favorite player, Jason?
Yeah, Ronnie O'Brien. He was probably one of the most exciting players, I think, of the early 2000s playing in MLS. What he did when he was with FC Dallas, scored great goals, always had a smile on his face. Check out the feature. If you're a new MLS fan, you didn't get to see Ronnie O'Brien, look up some of his highlights. Again, one of my favorite players of all time, and a great story about Ronnie O'Brien was he was actually voted Time Magazine's Man of the Century until there was a little detail in there that said whimsical candidates cannot win. So somehow they stuffed the online ballot for Ronnie O'Brien, but he didn't get his title.
Mine carries a Vagnon. Doesn't have quite the highlights that Ronnie O'Brien did, but still a solid player in Kansas City for all those years. You can also catch Extra Time Radio on the site. We talked about the Danny Califf discussion, but also Grant Wall was in the studio to talk to the guys about the U.S. national team roster that came out recently. That's all we have for today on The Daily. We'll see you on Monday.